waves beat against the sides of the tusked whale as she lurches from side to side. Occasional bursts of turquoise light beneath the waves mimic the spark winds, outlining schools of fish and the occasional larger shape deeper beneath the umbral sea's surface. What have the last few days of sea travel looked like for the tusked whale and its crew? We're looking at like day 2 of travel of 3.
I've been hard at work deciphering the new rubbings that I got, trying to glean whatever new knowledge I can from them.
Being the wizard that you are, it's fascinating finding how, while these are communicating similar information as the other tablets that you have access to, the way that the information is presented is completely different. It's not necessarily written in a different language, it's still ancient Noxian, but you can see that there are certain codings and inversions, like words that are flipped around or used multiple times, repeated words that have multiple meanings, and you have to kind of go through and decipher which meaning it is that they're looking for, on top of trying to figure out, what somatic components and what material components you need to compile in order to complete this particular incantation. As you go through and study your spells, because you've had ample time, rules as written, to study, you find that there are 2 spells within these tablets that you have uncovered. The first of which initially seems like some sort of transportation, or there's almost like writing within it that feels like it's moving a being from one space to another, and you think maybe like, oh shit, am I going to be able to like teleport myself? But on further study, you realize that it's a much smaller target, and you're not exactly sure what is being targeted, and you learn the Find Familiar spell.
Ooh.
The second spell, while you have it mostly deciphered, is, I'm going to say, you feel your understanding of it is not complete enough to risk attempting to use it yet, because you know, based on the writings that you've uncovered, basically the way that it works is it sends out these small tendrils of the spark, almost in the same swirling patterns as the spark wind, that are these tiny little destructive forces that theoretically will cause ruptures in space over a certain area. And once you have access to this level of spell, you will be able to cast Shatter.
Ooh. Gotta work on my spellcraft before I can actually pull it off.
Yeah, you get the sense like you might be able to attempt it, but it would be incredibly dangerous to do so. One false move or incantation could send one of those little fissures, best case scenario, up your hand and arm. Worst case scenario, it could shatter you. Or all your bones.
Don't be shattering me.
What about everybody else? What are you guys up to? As Magnus is just downstairs doing his nerd stuff.
Probably helping Talos man the ship.
Yeah. The seas have been relatively calm, but continuing forward as you continue to go north, snowfall begins to become more prevalent. And luckily the ocean is churning enough here, and it's not quite cold enough that you're not encountering any ice flows, thankfully. But visibility is pretty low. But for the most part, it's a lot of downtime. Navigating, avoiding the occasional iceberg, but a lot of it's just kind of you guys chilling up on deck.
I think that at some point, Rixavir is probably like darning some fishing net or something, like near Talos, and is gonna strike up a little conversation, like really nonchalantly, like not even looking at them, and being like, never stop being grateful for what you did for us.
That was so long ago. Really, it's just kind of happened, you know? I think we were all doing the best with the situation as it arose, and I was a different person then. I was more headstrong, I think. But I think in that particular scenario, it worked out. We were able to save some people that didn't have anyone else there for them. So I thank you for letting us know that there were people who still needed saving. How is your granny doing?
She's wonderful, thanks to you. You had a choice, and because of the choice that you made, the course of our lives were different because of it. This could have gone much different had you not done what you did. So I just want you to know that we are eternally grateful for that. And
Make an insight check.
ooh, that's gonna be good. That's a 23.
Nice. What reaction is Arik anticipating?
Arik is trying to probe and is just starting off, just being very honest that they did want to let Talos know that they are grateful, because they didn't really get that chance to say much more other than like in that moment to be thankful. But like, it's more than that. Like, it was a lifelong changing event. And so I think that it started with the thanks, the gratitude, and then there's also like the prodding of like the decision that you made in that moment is what changed everything.
Yeah. You don't know why or really much about Talos' life since then, other than how he's changed since then. Something specifically when you talk about him making a decision that had an effect that was far-reaching really seems to upset him. He doesn't like start crying and run away or anything, but he kind of draws inward a little bit.
I think even seeing that, I'm going to continue on saying, I don't know how to say this, but I knew it was you that had to take us on this trip back to Ilvermere. But I also knew it wasn't going to be an easy thing to get you to agree. And I'm, in fact, surprised that you did. What was it that made you decide to come with us?
Make a persuasion check. I'm going to call this a DC 15.
Okay, +4. That's 17 on the die, so 21.
Hot damn. I'm no longer with the Dawn Seekers, as you know. I had sworn an oath to protect those that I held most dear. And I could not keep it. But when you all came to me, and so hopeful, and I say it's been years, but I find myself frequently thinking about that day. And all of you raising the alarm, alerting the town of what was to come. You say that I am the one who changed the course of your lives, but you took that into your own hands. If it had not been for all of you running up those steps, ringing that bell, alerting us, we wouldn't have gotten nearly as many people out of Glomshore when we did. So I guess you could say something about the four of you just makes me feel like I can do better. Make an insight check one more time.
It's a 13.
Talos is definitely being completely honest. And you can see that it kind of like almost pains him to do so. These are a lot of things that he's probably been mulling over for a long time and has never actually like spoken aloud to anyone about. Which is hard for him to do, especially being, you know, this sort of masculine hero figure from this society of adventurous peoples. But you also get the sense that he's still holding something back. You're not getting 100% of the story, and that is by design. So, should just be another day and night of sailing. We will probably arrive in the early evening, so we should start getting ready. It's also going to start getting a lot colder from here, so I hope you all brought some furs or leathers to keep yourselves warm.
Yes.
I'm gonna start like heading down to the quarters or whatever, but I'm gonna like put a hand on his shoulder as I walk by and just say, "It may not always be clear. I think that the machinations of the gods can be vast and confusing, but I have faith that we're all on a path that we are intended to be on."
I hope you were right. What about Saoirse? What have you been up to the last couple of days?
I have been occupied. I've probably been cooking all the meals, cleaning, learning. What is the word? Shipwriting. I've probably been learning that with
Finley?
Oh, you mean working on like carpentry and
ship
repairs?
reinforcing my hammer. Any busy task. That's where I've been.
Gotcha.
Anything that keeps the mind and the hands moving.
You singing sea shanties too?
Anything. To avoid talking about what comes next.
Finley's just like, so, this is called a hand planer. It's real sharp right here. Don't touch that part like I did. Don't worry, I got much stronger keratin on my fingers than you guys.
Alright.
So, you're gonna hold this firmly down on top of the wood and you just drag it across. You see how those little sheets come off almost like paper? And he's like showing you how to basically like level out wood. He's like, anything straight, you're gonna need to level it out with this. It's gonna take off a lot of the edge, make it nice and smooth, nice and firm. It's gonna make it take the stain a lot better, which, you know, that plus the lacquer or varnish is gonna solidify everything once it's in place. Always measure twice before you cut anything. You got that? It's like walking you through all of this stuff. Make an insight check as well.
15.
Nice. Finley has relished in your interest in this your interest in his kind of not business but skills.
Okay.
And you get the sense that it's more than just like, oh, someone's interested in what I do, and he's also kind of doing the same thing that you are, and being like, yes, we can talk about this, so we don't have to talk about anything else.
Yes. Here we are safe.
Up on deck, continuing to help out Talos, and probably, I think, Brody, you've been kind of in charge of manning the rudder, which there's basically this large lever that's set up towards the back of the ship, so that you've got eyes on Talos and kind of the entire like front and direction that the ship is going, and you're kind of turning that to make the gradual changes. As Talos he'll like basically call out increments to you, or like numbers and degrees, and there's like markings on the lever itself that you just kind of pull. It's very much just like he calls out a number, you move it to that number, and see how it gradually shifts. He's also got the ship's helm, which controls a different set of rudders, which is for a much more like fine movement on this particular ship. So each of you are basically working together to chart the proper course. During this time, in your mind, for most of the trip so far, ever since you have set foot on the tusked whale and begun sailing towards Ilvermere, Sonder has been restlessly excited.
Nice.
They, I should say, are thrilled to be out at sea yet again and headed towards somewhere familiar but that has changed. And you get the sense that in Sonder's mind, that is one of the greatest adventures of all, is seeing something that was once familiar now changed. And he's very excited to return to Ilvermere. Make a perception check.
Ooh. Nat 20.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah!
So 21.
Nice. You've noticed this sort of little bit of scabbing almost that's begun to coalesce on the crossguard of Sonder. But over time, over the last couple of days, it's gotten smoother and smoother. And today, as you're standing there at the rudder and steering the ship, you kind of glance down just in time as you see there's like a split, and it kind of begins to open. And inside, you see this glassy, yellowish-green eye as Sonder opens his eye for the first time to see the world in a different way.
Gross.
Why was it born like that?
It's just eyelids opening.
Pustule.
First he had to grow the eyelids, and then he had to grow the eyeball inside, and then he opened it.
That's not how that happens.
Well, hi.
You see it like kind of opens for a little bit, the eye moves around before blinking a couple of times.
This is much better. You're always hogging the eyesight, so I figured I'd make myself a way to see what's going on around us.
And as you hear him speaking in your mind, you see the eye actually is very emotive. It's not gross, it's cool.
It can be two things.
It's not gross.
But yeah,
These
like
dice do have eyes in them.
yeah, that's
Hell
true.
yeah.
But yeah, he's like very much like emoting with the eyelids, much in the way that like, you know, I view this in a very, I don't know, maybe it's just me, I view this in a very like cartoonish way in my brain.
Does it have an eyebrow?
It doesn't have like, if it were depicted, it would just be like a line. But I think since it is a singular eye, I think the top lid kind of functions as the brow a little bit, just in the way that it flexes. And it takes on like a almost leather-like texture, the eyelid does. So like it starts as a scab as the flesh is growing, but it's not just like fleshy pink, it's sort of like a darker leather eyelid. Kind of like the book from Hocus Pocus.
Okay.
See, you're like, oh, it's not gross because I'm thinking of it as a cartoon, and you're using all these words and descriptors that are very like cinematic and human.
Yeah, you're like, it's covered in welts and
The scab appears.
it's bloated.
I
like
could
it's
have
been
made
in
it.
the sea for days.
I could have made it much
Fleshy
worse.
and
I didn't say
cute.
the word pus once.
But you wanted to, and we heard it.
It was implied.
Yeah.
Implied pus.
Worth noting, all that I have in my notes is a green eye sprouts on his crossguard.
This is just on the spot.
Sprouts is
gross.
also a word I don't like in the context.
I worked around it.
You didn't.
Could I have everyone make an insight check, please?
Go ahead.
Please, you're a guest.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you should have waited.
1 with additional numbers.
Magnus, you have been below decks in the common area at the round table, and you've kind of spread out all of your notes. And because like translating and deciphering these different spells, it's not just like you go through with one page of notes and it's like, oh, got it. There are pages on pages of failed attempts and things that didn't work, false, like mistranslations. You've basically like taken over the entire table.
It's like a flat version of like the insane like string
exactly.
like, diagrams that people make when they're doing
Precisely. You've been very busy with that, so you have not been above deck interacting with Talos very much on this trip. The rest of you, that was a natural 1.
12.
12.
7.
22.
22. Audic and Saoirse, the two of you, specifically Audic, I think probably, and correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm overstepping, but I think as the two who remained on Lokvara and regularly, hung out with each other, do you think Audic went to Saoirse about the conversation with Talos and your findings?
I don't think that I would have gone directly specifically for that. If it did get mentioned, like it would have just
like
been
offhand.
about, Talos in passing or whatever. Like,
Okay.
oh, they're kind of in an off mood today or something, and really like, yeah, that's kind of my fault. I prodded a little bit.
Okay. I think even just that little offhand mention of Talos being in a kind of an off mood kind of gathers your attention, Saoirse. And when you are above deck helping out with, in the night, casting nets over the side to catch fish so that you'll have more to dry and have more food for the journey. in addition to your like bushels of apples and lemons and limes that you've brought with you to avoid the scurvy. You all notice that the closer that you get to Ilvermere, the more tense Talos is. He becomes less talkative, less jovial. Did any of you bring, as part of your rations, any booze on board?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Maybe a little bellwort.
Specifically.
For celebrations.
I think you.
I want to celebrate.
I don't think like none of you are like super heavy drinkers, so I don't think you would have brought like casks and casks of ale or anything. But you notice that your alcohol levels are getting pretty low, which everyone has partaken over the course of the trip. But I think another thing that you notice is that the bellwort stocks start depleting. Which is not a good sign. And you can tell that Talos is getting very tense and kind of doing whatever he can to loosen up a little bit as you continue to approach.
Noted.
Audic, do you, at any point over the course of this journey, pry or prod at your glove at all?
Yeah, I think that there'd probably be a little bit more focus on it. I don't know that I would actually do anything with it, but I'd probably be keeping an eye on it as we get closer to Ilvermere, knowing that, like, after that conversation with the mountain, what was his name?
Bromthier?
Bromthier, yeah.
Yeah, that we are getting closer to where the trickster supposedly is. So I'm like, I think I'm just like waiting for any kind of reactions, because I don't think personally that I'm doing anything whenever these things have happened with the glove. It usually just appears.
For sure. Go ahead and make a perception check.
That's an 18.
I think you go below decks, eating lunch, or probably a little bit past lunch. Being a much larger being than everybody else on this ship, there's that kind of disconnect of like, these people don't realize that I need more food to function than they do. So I think you just take like a couple more snack breaks in a day than most people do. And
That's typical of McCall, too.
you go below decks and you're kind of going through the bushel of apples and trying to find one that doesn't have, like a bruise or a blemish on it. Find the best looking one to partake in. And you notice as you're going through that each time you pass an apple to that left hand to hold and then set it down, picking up another, each time you're holding something in that left hand, there's this almost warmth to the palm that isn't coming from the food. So you pick up a fork that's similar. Pass it to the other hand, nothing. But in the gloved hand, it's almost like a tingle that's there. When you're holding a static charge and you're just hovering close to something and you feel that sort of static, and you know that if you just move a little closer and touch it, there will be that break, that arc of connection.
Are you giving me gambit powers? Oh, yeah.
What do you do?
I think holding an apple, I think I will, like, try to focus some of that energy into the apple itself.
Yeah, you do so and you squeeze, and as you do, there's almost this little popping sound, and the apple disappears. And a couple of moments pass, and you feel that same sort of building charge, but this time you have no control over it before the apple rematerializes in your hand. There's a bite taken out of it.
I just laugh out loud. And I'm just gonna like toss it, and I'm gonna keep that one.
Yeah,
Keep that one.
make an Arcana check.
Oh, I'm pretty good today. That's 18.
You get the sense that this glove is probably part of a pair, and that one glove can send a palm-sized item to the other.
All right then.
And you think back on all the times that something has appeared in your hand. You're still not sure how, in those moments, someone could have known what was happening or what it was that you needed. But you think someone may have been helping you out.
Cool. That's fucking cool.
Is there any other conversation or points that anyone brings up to your fellow crewmates or captain in the final leg of your journey on the final day?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna follow up on what Arik Severe started with Talos.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you, do you do this in the morning, or rather, do this during like the daytime, when we're further from arrival, but Talos has like recently woken up and is more cognizant, or do you wait until sort of around sunset when you see that he's holding a bottle of Bellwort?
No, this is not a Bellwort conversation.
Okay.
Sirsha, we should be arriving shortly. Probably within, I would guess, 6 hours, 7 hours, depending on
Fingers
the
up to the
Yeah,
sun.
yeah, holding up to the sun.
depending on the
Right.
currents and the winds.
Can I, in that passing conversation that we had, I want to like also put my hand on your shoulder and been like, you know, that's what you said was the reason that he ended up coming.
Me.
And in that in that situation, I'm gonna give you guidance.
Hell yeah.
You know, we could still turn around. Magnus would be pissed. But we could. You're in charge.
That's true.
I would appreciate it.
We've come this far. I think I need to be done with running.
Do we?
I think so. It's, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that every fiber of my being isn't telling me to take this out and turn the ship around and go back to the Croc's Maw, the Croc's Waddle, whatever it's fucking called.
If you can't even remember the name of the bar you were at less than a week ago, it might be time to put the bottle down.
I think that you're probably right. But,
And he like reaches into his jacket pocket and pulls out a little flask and like pops the top and takes a drink. He's like,
maybe
Okay.
when this runs out,
Throw it. It's run out.
he just like watches it go very stoically and is just like,
my father gave me that.
I think he gave you a couple things, actually.
It is for the.
you've just decided.
Oh, I mean, he gave you that and a drinking problem.
Oh,
It was poetic in my head.
you know, I think maybe you are not completely wrong.
It's heritable.
Really?
My mother gave me crippling
Supposed to be
anxiety.
comfort.
make an insight check.
And you can use guidance if you want.
16.
You see, as you say this, he kind of looks at you and like, Talos has been on Lokvara for a while. He knows about your dad and his reputation. He kind of looks at you, and there's this moment of like, have you been drinking? But he kind of like moves past it.
Not yet.
Your mother was an anxious woman.
No. Very overbearing.
Oh, so you didn't inherit it so much
Powerful.
as it was a gift.
It was a gift. Sometimes the things from our parents are gifts. You can't return them.
But you can throw them in the sea, apparently. Have you tried that with your anxieties? Maybe we just give you a little dip. I'm joking. Pulls you back down.
I'm open to any suggestions to get me out of going there. But I don't think that's
Out of going back to Ilvermere or Gloamshore specifically?
Gloamshore.
Well, take my advice. I wouldn't. Whatever it is you're looking for on Ilvermere, I would stay out of the city.
Gloamshore.
Yes.
You think it's still overrun?
Something like that, yeah, I think so.
Have you been back?
It was brief. I'd prefer not to talk about
I want to let you keep things close to the chest, but if it's relevant to the safety of my friends, I'm gonna have to push you a little further.
Make a persuasion check. I'd say you could go with intimidation, potentially.
If I kind of broaden up and push forward,
Yeah.
And you can use guidance.
I threaten to throw more of his shit.
Yeah, you have a
Guidance
D4.
is a D4.
Yes.
17.
He glances out in the direction of the sea that his flask was thrown, and back at you.
The Dawn Seekers. We had a buyer in Dresk, a nation near Caldronmore. I was already not fully on board, but I didn't make the calls for the Dawn Seekers. Gwenya was our lead, is the leader of the Dawn Seekers. So we took the job and we returned. And we hadn't been off the ship for more than half a day before we were surrounded. These creatures came up from out of the ice, and they exuded this bitter cold that surrounded us, and in a blink, with no seeming end, Gwenya, she called for us to retreat, but it was... the decision was made too late, and she and Falinir got separated from myself and Kavaya. I covered her with my shield from their blows, but there was nothing I could do about the cold. The frost crept up our legs. She couldn't move. I will never forget the look on her face when she pushed me away. I still have no idea how she managed to conjure the fire. So much fire. And when the smoke cleared, it was just me, and she was so badly burned I could hardly recognize her. But more were coming, and I had to run. I had to. I still don't know how I managed to make it to the ship. It was all just a blur. Gwenya and Falinir made it back, and they said they didn't blame me, but I had sworn an oath, and that day I could not keep my word. That is the only time I have been back in the 15 years since the Ember Flare. And the moment we got back to Lokvara, I never went sailing with the Dawn Seekers again. So, I am glad that we brought Finley, because I won't be staying with the ship. I need to get Kavaya's body and bring her back. I don't expect you and your friends to join me, but it is something I have to do.
What was it that attacked?
It was like leaving ice, small and vicious. There was a coldness that emanated from them. But they did not like the fire. They seemed weak to it.
Kavaya made the fire.
Yes, she had a lot of talents. Not like your friend, came to her naturally.
Like Arixavir.
Yes, yes. Things that she just innately could do. I think about her every day. I'm going to get her off of that rock. And he wipes his tears. We'll be arriving soon. You should prepare yourselves and your friends.
if we get any amount of time to catch up before we land, I will make everybody aware of that.
Yeah, you convene below decks while Thalos and Finley are up above decks doing the navigation, and you gather everyone and relay to them what you learned from Talos.
I think with that information, I'm going to take a little piece of parchment and an ancient Noxian, right, we're coming to Elvamere, and put it in the glove and send it.
It goes, and you don't receive a response immediately.
Oh yeah.
Oh. When did it do that?
I think it's been doing it. I just didn't know that it was a two-way thing. It's definitely sent a few things that have been helpful.
Right.
So
And now you can send stuff.
somewhere,
Hopefully a friend.
I trust it.
It hasn't done us wrong yet.
Kind of. I'm looking at my sword. I'm looking at your club.
Did it always have that eye?
Is that new?
It's new. Quite good looking. I assume. I've never seen that many people that I can remember.
I think so. Right?
Canonically,
do better than-
everyone is gorgeous here.
Yeah.
I've never seen an ugly person.
Which is ugly.
All hotties.
Pretty all right.
We said it. I was thinking about characters who would be unconventional, and then I just imagined Granny Brynja with big fat titties.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Don't do that to my granny.
I can't help it. It's done.
Granny Brynja, big naturals.
Why?
They're probably like down past her waist though now.
Oh boy.
Well, something is on that island that's unfriendly, so keep your eyes peeled. Hopefully there's some sort of shelter that we can find so as not to be caught off guard.
So where are we going first? Are we going to home or are we going...
Well, we had the plan to get something for you.
I think we
We
need
know
to-
where it is.
First place I would check is the museum.
So we would
Which-
be going back to Gloamshore, which
Well, it's
Pavel
a.
specifically said not to do.
I mean, that's where everything is. We can't just like come here and hang about in the woods. We wouldn't accomplish anything.
Well, if we can keep enough fire around us, maybe we'll be safe.
Yeah. We've got one source of flame. I can conjure fire as well.
I've been known to cook a few things with my hands, but
No fire? Okay.
I mean, we can make a fire.
yes, torches and the such would be better.
But they could make us easy to track amongst things that aren't afraid of it.
If Sonder was thinking to us, I'll think to it also. Like, can you catch yourself on fire?
No.
How would you feel
That
about?
sounds dangerous.
How would you feel about being on fire?
I don't like that at all. I'm mostly made of flesh and blood and bones. Those things burn.
I'm just
I can do other things, though.
Like what?
Well, I don't remember. But I know there's something. I've never had a lot of friends. Not like I've got friends now. But I used to. I used to be able to make friends. Very easily. Do you know what I mean?
Do I?
I mean, you know.
I technically I do.
You know what's written on that card. I think your understanding, or rather, Barotheus' understanding
Yeah.
of that is whatever you want it to be. But I think there's, like, at the very least, you know more what Sonder is talking about than probably anybody else
Yeah.
in the room.
Rexavir's just like, I've made plenty of friends. Just in my mind.
Copy.
But I don't know how that's going to help out. But it's always good to have one more friend. Right?
Yeah.
Sure.
That's why Finley's here.
Yeah.
Right. So
I'm gonna poke Sonder.
In his eye.
Not in the eye, like more like on the blade, and just to see, like, do you feel that?
Oh, yes.
So if
I must admit, I have fewer nerve endings in my actual blade. Mostly they're in the handle.
okay.
Yeah. no.
So if you are to use them, you will feel that.
I don't like this.
Does it feel good when you stab something or slash something?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Is it like a
God.
tooth?
I don't. What's a tooth? Those are teeth. What do you use them for?
Ripping and tearing and gnawing and
Why hasn't anyone told me about this? How often are you ripping and tearing flesh with your teeth?
3 or more times a day.
Wow! That's incredible. Yes, it's exactly like that.
All right. How many times a day do you do that?
I haven't in some time. Brothy's been
You never let him rip
very,
and tear and
very
gnaw.
stagnant.
You gotta let him rip and tear and gnaw. He's
I
like
guess
a puppy.
there were those plants recently. I got to chew on
You
those.
got to chew on those.
Yes.
Now I just feel like
I'll put some cheese down. There you go.
I'm the person jumping on the bed for like a soaker. I feel like
What did you just say? What did you just say?
Mormon deep cut. You know, soaking.
I just figured it out.
like
No, think of it this way. I don't know any of the words you just said. But it's sort of like, I am sort of like Brothy's protector. But Brothy is like my legs. And he takes me on adventures, and I protect him on those adventures.
You
and
got a
we-
puppy.
And we both get the benefits.
A flesh puppy.
What's a puppy?
Aren't most of them flesh?
I don't have, but it's just flesh and teeth.
That's not
None of the cuddly parts of a puppy.
no fur.
No fur.
Should I be more
Don't.
cuddly?
Oh, could you?
What's cuddly like?
Soft.
What would make you more comfortable, Brothy? It's your blood, after all.
It's your blood after all. That's your son.
That's your son, puppy.
I don't think fur will help.
No?
No, I think it's just worse.
You cut the hair off of my scabbard, so I presume that made you uncomfortable.
Yes.
You shaved your son.
Maybe teeth though.
Teeth? Teeth would make you feel better.
Couldn't hurt.
Like this?
And there's like a pulsing at your arm, and you feel that mark on your palm can begin to alight again. And if you actually look, you can see trails of blood feeding into Sonder from your hand, and the blade itself kind of shifts, and little jagged, sharp teeth make a serrated edge down the blade.
I watch, fascinated.
That's gonna do some damage.
Like this?
I kinda like it more.
Yeah.
That's gonna rip and tear.
Yeah.
I pull out a small book and start making notes.
I was like eating an apple, and I'm just gonna like set it down.
Brother, make a roll a d4.
4.
You take 4 points of damage
From the apple?
from the blood loss.
Oh, right.
From when you changed.
Oof, it's rough at that level.
Are you still up?
Yeah.
Brother only has 2 hit points. He's dead. And I'm gonna say that it's not like a sharp pain, but you just get that kind of like lightheaded, like just gave blood kind of feeling. Like it was not a small amount that was taken to make that change.
Give it back?
But yeah, cutting the apple, does he like it? With the teeth?
That's a fun texture.
I mean, I gotta say, you're worse now at cutting apples than you were, but that's not what we're gonna use you for most of the time.
Maybe some bread. I feel like I'd be good at bread.
You look like you'd be good at bread.
Cut some bread.
It's nice.
Yeah, that's
Nice
good.
serrated blade.
I take some bread.
I'm not eating that bread.
It's fine.
He's not wet.
My body kills off all the germs.
I don't know that.
That's true. There's no glisten to Sonder, at least not above the handle.
No, I'm endeared. Come on over. I think it's the eye.
I feel like I'd be good at bread is going on a t-shirt.
I feel like I'd be good at bread.
Don't worry, I'll win you all over eventually. We're going on such a grand adventure together. It's going to be so much fun.
Look into his shiny little eye. He looks happy
It does. It's a very happy ovular shape.
and violent. But we all look a little violent sometimes.
It's a defense mechanism.
It's a defense mechanism. He's scared.
Right.
And he can only solve that with ripping and tearing.
I'm not judging. I just didn't want the bread.
What is scared?
It's like being sad, angry,
Sad.
but all very fast, all at once.
It's like the opposite of being excited to do something.
Oh, I've never felt that way.
It's not a
Is
good
it-
feeling.
Oh, it's not good. It's not nice.
It's like when you want something to happen and then the opposite of that thing happens.
I can't relate.
You guys continue conversing for a little bit with Sonder. You kind of get the sense, probably you've all already picked up on this just as people, but Sonder doesn't really get humans 100%, or people, or emotions, or things like that. But you can all make an insight check if you'd like.
5.
16.
Brother, you make this with advantage.
16.
10.
I think Saoirse has been won over by the bread, and Brody, you're still just kind of off-put by a lot of Sonder. But it's strange because there is this this almost brotherly connection between the two of you. Like you are the same flesh and blood, basically. He's basically just a nervous system that your body has fed and nurtured for some time, which
Your
is
baby.
uncomfortable, but something that I think you could get used to.
Yeah.
Magnus taking notes and Arexavir just very inquisitive. The two of you can almost kind of relate to Sonder in a way of like, yeah, people are weird and sometimes emotions don't make sense and it's confusing sometimes. But I think both of you also get a sense that like from the first time that you conversed with Sonder, there has been almost some like very minute emotional growth. And the way that he talks about things, you're not sure if it's he was a person once and became this, or if maybe he just had a better understanding once before and has lost that memory of things learned. But you know that he's had past wielders, and it seems like maybe there's some sort of reset. Maybe it had something to do with the Ember Flare, or maybe even before that. But you get the sense that being adventurous is not just wanting to go out and, get in fights and destroy evil and do things of that nature. But being adventurous also entails mostly just learning and growing as a person. And that seems to be Sonder's whole vibe.
Yeah, I mean, emotional intelligence is like a skill, and skills can atrophy over time if you're not using them. So
Exactly.
It's my read.
Yeah. As the day continues into night and the spark winds begin to alight in the sky above, and schools of fish alight the umbral sea below, thick snowfall covers the blue sails and stings your faces, though the sea itself is calm. It is so cold here in the frigid north that each puffy snowflake that hits the umbral sea lingers for a moment before melting into the dark waters. A dark, looming shape appears through the haze of snow in the distance. Jagged peaks of snow-covered stone preceded by forests of white-trunked trees with violet leaves. You hear before you see the lapping of waves on the black cobbled beaches. Before you is a sight that you've not seen in some 15 years, the fallen Isle of Ilvermere. You also notice a plume of dark smoke rising from the coastline. Each of you can make a survival check to sort of readjust your perception now that you have approached to kind of figure out what part of the island are you near.
A gentleman's 5.
3.
An 11.
13.
Saoirse, the plume of smoke is confusing to you because you remember Talos telling you about the ice beings that surrounded him and his group. Smoke implies fire, which implies, maybe some sort of creature of flame, or perhaps survivors. You can't quite tell from where you are if that is in the direction of Gloamshore or if it's Tarstrand. There aren't enough notable familiar landmarks to make a note of that. But Talos calls out to you instructions. You all take your places and begin navigating the ship a little bit more closely. There are some thick bits of ice that have frozen on the ocean's surface here that have to be navigated around. As you continue on and are just kind of like in the motions of taking orders and carrying them out, you realize that Talos has set you guys on a course to a part of the island away from that smoke. And as you get closer, he eventually calls out for the sails to be furled. You're all kind of climbing around, getting things hoisted up and lifted, pulling ropes, tying things off, and eventually he calls to weigh anchor as you've entered just outside of the shallows of Ilvermere. The anchor lowers, and on the shore, through the haze of snow, which is thickly falling, you just see a small bit of beach that is covered in white, and past that, forest. But none of it looks particularly familiar. All right. Finley, you're going to stay here, keep an eye on the ship. If you see anything on shore that looks threatening, you know what? If you see anything on shore at all, weigh anchor. And I think we're far enough out that we shouldn't have any issues of anyone approaching or anything approaching. But do not be afraid to move the ship if you have to. And Finley kind of looks around at like the ice around him and he's like, I mean, I'll do my best, but I think we're kind of just gonna be here until you guys get back and we've got a full crew. Talos nods and walks over and begins setting up and hoisting out the dinghy for all of you. And he'll hold out a hand, kind of like helps Saoirse up and kind of helps everybody one at a time onto the dinghy before getting on himself. And taking a rope, Finley takes the other rope as they begin to lower down and the dinghy rests in the waters. What's going through all of your minds and emotions in this moment as you are rowing towards the shore a short distance and make landfall back on Ilvermere?
I'm excited, very curious what happened to our old town, why there's smoke.
Yeah, you feel that that familiar, now becoming more comforting, second heartbeat that's almost actually beating in time with yours. And you can feel Saunders' excitement as well.
Would I have time, before we got off the ship, to treat the wound or anything, or?
It was quick, you could treat it, but unless you have any health potions or if anybody wants to do any healing on you.
Got it.
I might have tried to give him some of Granny Brynja's medicine cure-all kind of stuff that's got bellwort in it, so it just tastes really bad or something, and done a little medicine check.
Would you have had time for a short rest to use a hit die?
That's basically
maybe?
what I was asking.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. I'll just do.
Sorry, I forgot about those.
Yeah, it's up a little bit.
Yeah. What about the rest of you as you are now stepping out onto the cobblestones and pulling the dinghy ashore?
I mean, I'm excited also to find out what's been happening and to maybe get my hands on some new information. But as soon as the cold hits me, and I remember how cold it is here. Like the gravity of reality is starting to hit me, and I'm a little apprehensive also.
Yeah, I think Magnus, you also have a moment as that cold hits you and you feel that chill, all too familiar, and you look up at the tree line. There's just like a brief flash in your mind of the dream that you had that became reality as that tree line approached the city. How do you react in that moment?
Like a visible shiver. I'm trying to keep it together,
Okay.
since this was my idea.
What about Saoirse?
I think there's just like blood rushing in my ears and like that kind of salty like nausea in the back of my mouth, just like trying not to outwardly show how awful this feels. I think rather than being like seeing fire and thinking like survivors, that's positive. I think it's just kind of, I don't think there's any like, that's probably some friendly people who have survived here. I think it's entirely like, that can't be good. That's not good. That's not good news. That's bad news.
Make an insight check with disadvantage.
7.
You're very inwardly focused right now, and whether Saoirse realizes it or not, you're teetering on the edge of a panic attack and doing everything you can to just hold it together. What about Arik Savir?
I think that the typical mental chatter that's always going on has been replaced by that kind of quiet buzzing sound, and like you can get in tense situations when you have like ADHD or whatever, when you're like dialed in and focused, and like there's not necessarily a feeling of fear, but of determination, and then just like checking the axe at my hip, and then like feeling that's a stone in my pocket, the one that was sent through the glove before, as like just a quick like little comfort thing as I'm like helping to pull the boat ashore.
Talos directs you all to pull the dinghy ashore and basically flip it over so it doesn't fill with snow while you're gone. You actually bring it up into the tree line and tuck it into some underbrush, getting his bearings.
You're certain that your destination is Glomshore specifically?
For now, I mean, it might be a good idea to check out Tarstrand later, if it seems feasible. But Glomshore for now.
Do we know of any other ruins that are close by to Glomshore?
I mean, yeah, there's ruins all throughout the area. Not like specific like buildings. Like basically the most populatable area of ruins is Glomshore. Most of the homes and businesses and things were built in those structures, kind of similar to Lokvara. Everything else is more dilapidated and crumbled and standalone outside of that.
Do we see any evidence of giant footprints?
Make a survival check.
8.
Not in the immediate vicinity, no. As Talos asks if this is your destination, he's like,
All right. I'm going to go inland a couple of miles. I'm assuming by the fact that none of you are surprised that I came ashore with you, that Saoirse has told you what we talked about.
I probably wouldn't have mentioned his personal shit.
oh, okay.
I don't think I would have been like, and his dead friend is still there to this day. I probably would have been like, going.
Okay, well, he just leaves it at that.
I'll be like, I'm surprised that you came, but I'm glad.
I have my own business to attend to. If anything happens to me and I am not back on the ship within, we'll say, 3 days, just continue on. I leave the tusked whale to you. Feel free to rename it, redecorate, whatever.
I mean, it would be smarter to stick together. Do you want us to come with you?
I can't put you in that kind of danger. You are already walking towards your own special brand of danger.
All right.
Saoirse, I was not completely forthcoming with you. There are some who survived the incursion. We did not interact with them personally, but they have fortified the city of Glomshore. And from what we saw, they occasionally send out groups of people outside of the walls. We don't know exactly what for, but there are people who are still alive and well in Glomshore. I do not know how welcoming they will be to outsiders, even those returning home.
Do you know who they were?
So,
I have to imagine they are Ilvermirians. People who either didn't escape or people who maybe returned later. And, they always say that no one has made the trek back to Ilvermere and lived to tell the tale, but that just means they have not then left Ilvermere. So it could be outsiders who set up a society, it could be survivors, I don't know. But I need to find what I'm here for, and if I don't see you again, I would ask that you find Gwenya and Falanir and just let them know that I am with Kavaya. I wish you luck in your journey, and I hope to see you again. And just kind of holds his arm out to the group of you. It's like all hands in. Yay! We'll say he does that, and then he goes around and he gives each of you individually a hearty hug before taking a very deep breath and kind of weighing the shield at his side that you get the sense he probably hasn't held in some time, and sets off into the woods. Before he goes, he's like, Glomshore is in the direction of the smoke. It seems like some, maybe something they do for warmth, but the same thing was happening the last time we were here, so.
I'll say, make sure you come back. I know that you have a task you want to complete, but if it's a choice between making it back or not,
Certainly, I
opt to come back, please.
Of course. No, this is not a suicide mission that I am going on. I
Good.
just simply need to retrieve something.
Okay.
All right. Good luck. And he turns and once again, deep breath, weighs the shield in his arm, and sets off into the woods.
I wish he didn't have to go. Also, I wish it wasn't so fucking cold. And I put on a blanket over my coat.
I'll loop an arm through yours and warm up.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
should we light torches, or do you want to go in the dark?
What time of day is it right now?
It is night.
Nighttime.
Both are risky. If fire wards off the ice creatures, then that's helpful.
Might
But if
attract
they're-
attention from, the survivors.
Or even just saber moose.
Yeah. Well, I don't think saber moose like fire either.
Well, that's fine. What if they've evolved?
I mean, it's possible, but
What if a larger predator has made them its prey?
Possible.
some sort of land orca.
No, not this again.
Orca bears.
Grace.
I seem to recall a
Borkas.
large tree of some kind.
Borkas.
What if it was like an orca centipede?
Oh,
But
Fresh.
It's got 100 dorsal fins.
like the size of dogs.
we don't have to make that canon. That's fine.
No, it's there now.
Oh God.
Can I say that when we did the whole hands-in thing, I used my blessing of the trickster, which means I can use an action to touch a willing creature other than myself to give it advantage on dexterity checks for an hour.
Do you cast it on Talos or one of your companions?
Probably Talos for now. And then we'll see. Maybe I'll steal it from him and apply it to one of us.
Yeah,
He's suddenly less stealthy,
He-
like an hour later.
yeah, he quickly vanishes in the underbrush, almost unnaturally so.
I think we probably should use torches. I mean, we can't see in the dark, and we don't know how much this place has changed since we left. So
I can see in the dark.
that's really cool.
You can see.
As you'll recall, it's not incredibly dark here. There are spark winds in the skies above.
That's true.
There's also fresh snowfall, so the ground is stark white. So it's a little bit easier to differentiate between
Reflects the light.
Yeah, between that and trees. Also, Saoirse, if she so chooses, can function as basically a torch within a 20-foot radius.
Oh, that's true. You are a big torch.
I'm a nightlight.
I say we try to go quietly until we get close to Glomshore. While I don't want to alarm anybody there, I do think it'd be smart to be stealthy here.
I agree.
I will dim.
Okay.
But have your torches at the ready, just in case.
Yeah, your
idea.
firelight bleeds from a like reddish orange to more of a bluish tone as it recedes a bit. And could I have all of you make stealth checks as you quietly begin to make your way through the Ashen Canes?
That 20.
Hell yeah, dude.
So that's a 23.
Okay.
Oh, you have to roll with disadvantage?
Yeah, I got armor. 5.
It's a 15.
15. Okay.
Now I know who to use the Blessing of the Trickster on. I didn't notice you were being so clangy loud.
Well, it's more like it's chainmail, so it's more just like
Shink, shink, shink.
like a handful of pennies.
Okay, so 23, you had a 16?
15.
15. I think there's this moment where, like, we as viewers see you pass by a collection of trees, and we see you as children playing in the woods before all of this happened, and then passing through once again to see you as adults now fearful in this space and dreading what might come. As you're moving through, none of you know, like, I think you're all very, very aware of every plant and vine that you come across from the time that you were children to the incident that happened in Lokvara. I think plants have kind of been ruined a little bit for a second, and you're all very wary of them. But none of them seem to be moving of their own volition.
I'm also looking out for ice monsters after what was conveyed to me.
Absolutely. It's quiet. You travel for probably about a good hour and a half and start to actually see some familiar landscapes, though quite changed in the 15 years. There's a particular sort of rounded ruin that's just the base with like a portion of one of the stone walls that looks like the stones were just kind of stacked on one another. There's no like mortar or anything holding them together that you pass by before all of you hear this distant sort of arrhythmic thudding, these thunks. I'm gonna say make perception checks, but use your intelligence modifier, if that makes sense. So if you're proficient in perception, add your proficiency bonus, but otherwise you're using your intelligence modifier.
That's a 4.
16.
18.
18. Brody and Magnus, you both instantly recognize that to be the sound of axes on wood.
Pointing to wherever that is.
Brody makes this signal. You can also start to make out like the sound of saws as well. There's a crackle and rustling of leaves as a distant tree falls. Do you guys steer clear, approach?
Do we want to approach them and see, like, kind of gauge what the vibe is with the survivors? It would be easier to do it with a small group of woodcutters than it would be approaching the city and having to deal with
People
whatever
can
is
be
there.
reasoned
People.
with.
Yeah.
But we need to be careful because they will have lookouts if they're doing
Should
this
I-
outside the walls.
Should I turn on the lights?
Yeah, why at night? You think they do this during the day?
They know more than we do about this place, so there's probably a good reason for it. I don't know if we should call out or if we should approach with light, but we need to be able to make ourselves known.
Yeah, we
so
don't
that
want to
they
surprise anyone.
attack.
I'll turn on the light.
Okay. Saoirse, you sort of brighten in the area around you as your hair returns to its full luminance, and you all more overtly begin making your way towards the sounds. As you do, you can hear snippets of conversation of people calling out. There's not a lot, actually. It seems to mostly be one particular voice that's speaking, sort of older and more gruff, who's just calling out, not words of encouragement, but more just like, all right, put your back into it, come on, get it together. And
Is there any chance that we would recognize the voice?
no, I don't think so. It doesn't strike you as familiar.
Okay.
As you continue to approach, there's a sudden halting, and the voices get low. Make perception checks.
12.
17.
17.
14.
All of you make out. You all start making out.
Romance! You two should stay away from each other in the pile.
Yeah.
All of
Sandra
you.
grows lips.
Yeah. You kiss your brother.
I've been working on these.
Ew.
Thank you.
They're at the ends of all his teeth. He
Saucy.
knows they go near the mouth.
His understanding of mouths is flawed. At best.
It's fucked.
You hear a number of voices. A word that you can make out that's being used a lot is dreads, before it sort of goes quiet, and the voice from before calls out, "Who goes there?"
Not dreads.
We're just researchers.
Step into the light. Come on.
I am.
We're as in the light as we can be.
You step out, and the luminance from Saoirse illuminates the people before you. You see, standing sort of behind a line of crouched men and women, is an older figure who he's got a sort of salt and pepper beard that's thicker around the chin. There's a bit of hair missing from a massive scar that goes from forehead down the cheek, basically to the jawline. The eye itself, as the scar passes over, is a little cloudy, and you can see that even the lid was kind of split.
Would you describe his appearance as grizzled?
Yes, 100% grizzled. He's got a knit cap pulled over that has just some of that salt and pepper, same hair, a little bit longer, curling out from under it all around. And in front of him you see what looks like a pretty ragtag group of variously scarred individuals in different ways. One of them is particularly thin, like almost malnourished, a little bit older gentleman. There's a woman who is very broad in the shoulders, but not like well-fed. None of them look well-fed.
Oh.
This is a very hungry-looking group of people, but they are also quite broad. You see a number of them are holding axes in their hands, and a few of them, like one of them has like a saw, and there are actually two on either side flanking the older gentleman who called out, who have spears. You all step out and see these faces of fear bleed from fear to shock as they all get down on their knees and kneel. And the old man calls out,
Forgive me, Bright One. I was not aware that one of you was out here.
I'm going to whisper to Saoirse, I think your mom took over.
I don't like that.
Forgive us.
We have to leave.
We are but humble fellmen. Anything that we have is at your disposal.
No, it's fine. You could just stand right on up. I'm just gonna go stand some people. Nope.
so you see a few of them like flinch as you approach.
Nope, it's fine.
They like
It's
everyone,
alright.
even as you lift them, they'll stand, but they kind of like step away from you.
Hi there. I'm Saoirse. I'm a blacksmith, and it's fine. And I dim. So It's fine. We're just traveling. We're trying to get to the museum.
The museum. What museum?
Well, baby, what did it happen? I didn't go.
Allow me to consult my notes.
I'm
It didn't.
Saoirse.
It didn't have a specific name. You
This
just
is
called it the museum.
Magnus. He's a history boy. This is Brody, and this is Arixavir, and we used to live here. And now we are back.
Oh, so you're not Luxons. You're from Old Ilvermere.
Right.
You called it what?
Old Ilvermere.
No. What was it called now?
It's still called Ilvermere, but
Oh, okay.
we refer to Old Ilvermere as the time before. I'm not aware of any museums in Canderil.
Canderil? Is that a different place than Gloamshore used to be?
I think it was called that before, yes. I was from Tarstrand, so I'm not super familiar with the other villages. But yeah, I think Glumshore.
There was a museum in Gloamshore. And what did you say it's called now?
Canderil.
What is your name?
I'm Gash.
I'm Saoirse.
Pleasure.
And what are the bright ones? What's that?
Those who were blessed by Exardeska, like yourself.
That's terrible news.
Why is that terrible news? They keep us safe.
Oh, good.
I mean, terribly good news that they're here.
That's terribly good. Terribly good.
Sorry, we have an odd manner of speaking compared to you. You'll have to forgive our eccentricities.
No, it's fine. I mean, we get the same thing with charade.
And he motions at a pretty like scrappy-looking younger boy nearby who kind of like just waves.
And you're from?
He kind of looks at Gash before like making the motion of waves and basically just like doing this very interpretive thing. And he's like,
Best we can gather, Charade's not from Ilvermere. We don't really know where he came from, but
human.
he doesn't speak the common tongue.
yeah, he's human.
But he can speak?
Well, yes, he can, but none of us know what the fuck he's talking about.
Oh, well,
Sorry, excuse me. None of us can understand what he's saying.
I'll
Forgive us.
try to say hello in the 4 languages I know, which are common, well, not common, I guess. The 3 other languages I know, which are the Furfolk Zonevir language, Ancient Noxian, and Goblin.
He just kind of like stares at you and nods as you go through each of them,
Okay.
and then looks to Gash, who's like,
Hi.
I'm gonna look to you and then ask, by any chance, is there a luminance mave in Canderil?
Yes, Luminance Maeve is the head ardent of the Exardescan Church. She's the tender of the Great Flame.
Well,
make an insight check.
cool. That's a 25.
25.
I'm dialed in on this guy.
Yeah, Gash is hard to read because he's got kind of a permanent scowl from years of scowling. That's just accentuated by the gash on his face. I'm going to say, Arixavir, you pick up on several things. This is a very diverse group of people. There are humans as well as some Zoanvir. There are also some peoples that you haven't encountered on Lokvara. There's a couple of people who have that sort of icy elementalism about them, as well as a couple of people who look to be like half giants, as well as a few people who appear to be touched and have horns. You also pick up on the fact that these people don't seem to use their given names anymore. You doubt this man's given name is Gash, or that this person's name is Charade, who seems to communicate with charades. You also see, as he mentions Luminance Maeve, Gash is very very deferent and very respectful, but you catch on a few of the others around that there's definitely disdain for the luminance, the high luminance, amongst them.
Forgive us. We are less familiar with the island as it is. I would imagine it's quite dangerous for you to be out here doing this at night.
Oh, well, yes. It's dangerous at night, dangerous during the day, dangerous all around. But we're Fellmen, so it is our charge.
And what is your charge?
Well, it's different for all of us, but we collect the wood that keeps the city running and warm.
And you have to do it at night?
Well, we have expeditions, days at a time, yes. Sorry, you're not from here.
Right.
We're criminals. This is our punishment. We are charged to come out and collect things because we are expendable.
And your crimes are...
Varying.
Murder?
Some of us. We try not to get attached.
You spoke of dreads. Can you tell us what those are?
Yes, they're the things that lurk out here.
Is that like a specific thing, or like just all the things are called dreads, or?
All of them.
Okay, that's more of a blanket term, not
Yeah.
a specific.
Yes, it's easier to
monster.
call out than if we had individual names.
Gotcha.
Right, that's fair.
Gotcha.
And by whose orders are crimes punished this way?
By the luminance in charge. There are several of them. Her High Luminance is the head of the church, and the Luminant priests beneath her carry out, rather, they designate the laws, which are then carried out by the city's guards.
And you, at some point, get to stop doing this? Or...
No. Well, technically, yes.
Technically, yes.
Once the dreads get you, you're done.
Right. Yeah. That would, yep. That
see.
would be the answer.
Gotcha.
As you're all like looking out over this group of people, you notice like a lot of them aren't making eye contact with any of you, but also a lot of them aren't making eye contact with each other. Like, I think you very quickly can put together this is an incredibly dangerous job that these people have been have been forced into, and their sort of defense mechanism is we're not going to learn each other's real names, and we're not going to chat, and we're not going to become friends because none of us are going to be here long.
Question. That's a boy.
Yes,
A little boy.
right.
And the crime is...
You know, I don't actually know. None of us could get it out of him.
I can't-
Maybe you
I'm
can...
just pondering what a little boy...
Shrey, what are you here for?
And he kind of like perks up again and looks across all of you, and he's like,
Oh, you killed? Like a lot of guys?
You stabbed someone and they died?
Killed.
Oh, you got stabbed.
You...
No. You saw someone
watched.
stab someone,
Oh.
and they threw you out so that you couldn't reveal who did the stabbing.
It's like, damn, you guys are good. That's more than we've ever gotten.
That wasn't hard. That one wasn't hard. I think you're not good at charades.
Yeah, well,
That's all
I don't
right.
think they really cared.
All right. And how populated is it here?
yeah, I don't have an exact head count, but it's, it's pretty crowded in the southern district and pretty cold, but northern district is much more sparse, spread out, roomy.
You said you were from Tarstrand. Is Tarstrand still populated, or did you all
No.
come here?
No, Candaril is all that's left,
Okay.
aside from the Luxons.
The Luxons?
Yeah, sometimes they're called the vulgarities, folks who live outside the walls. There's not many of them, as far as I'm concerned. We've rarely run into Luxons out here, but sometimes they come into the city to trade.
Do they
Bring in
have
things
their
they found.
own settlement, or are they nomadic?
I have no idea.
Noted.
Is there a reason they live outside the walls?
I imagine they don't take too kindly to the Exardescan doctrines and things. Or, some of them are folks like yourself who came to the island after the fact and didn't leave for whatever reason. I don't really know.
Right.
Can we expect a hostile welcome if we are to approach Canderil walls?
I wouldn't say hostile. Like, I don't think you'd be attacked at the gates. But you would be branded as Luxons, and probably people aren't going to treat you too nicely unless you got good stuff to sell them.
Even if we were from here originally?
Maybe. I know there's a few folks who remember the before times, but I never had many run-ins with them. I was mostly atop the wall guard.
Well,
You see, as he says this, a lot of the other fellmen kind of like perk up, like this is the most that they've learned about this man.
well, it seems like currently, anyway, there's no reprieve from your sentence. So
No.
I think it would go without saying that you shouldn't mention anything about meeting us, as it would only cause trouble for you, probably.
Well, for your own safety, if you're not opposed to staying among a band of thieves and murderers, it might be safer if you stayed with us. We can walk you back to Canderil.
How do
We
you
can
know we're
split
not
up.
also thieves and murderers?
Well,
Turn and look at Sir.
couldn't say, but here outside the walls, it's better to stick together than tear each other apart. There's enough things doing that.
I would agree that is sensible.
A nod goes through the entire group.
All right.
Please, Brightness, make yourself comfortable.
Nope.
And
Nope. Nope. Is there anything I can do to make you stop saying that?
I mean, it's kind of habit at this point. I have to, because if I don't, I'll get in a lot of trouble.
But I'm not in any way associated.
Make a deception check. As you've now learned that your mother's in charge.
I forgot. Okay. 12.
I'm gonna have to roll for him. Right. He's like,
Right. I'm sorry. I've never met a Luxon or anybody from outside Ilvermere who had your affect.
Yeah, it's just. Anything happened to anybody.
That's
My
true.
dad's made of ice.
It's true. It was crazy. Really? Huh.
So's my
See-
sister.
You see a couple of the other ice folk kind of like, nice.
Just like genetic fluke.
Strange. I still don't understand half of it.
I'm trying to remember what the symbol for is it the sun? Is the symbol for Exardesca, right? Okay.
Forgive me, but I feel like I was not incredibly personable when you approached. I'm Gash, I'm the head of this crew.
No, I think you were pretty personable.
He like shakes your hands. He's like,
You're pretty open.
If it makes you feel any better, I'm actually the only volunteer among us. I'm not here because of any charges. I'm just sort of overseer.
I mean, that's fine. One of the members that you have here is a child who was a witness to a crime. So, like, I'm not really 100% certain that everybody deserves to be here. I'll just point at a random person. You, what did you do?
me?
Yeah.
I stole some bread.
Yeah, that's fine. People do that.
Yeah, Gaunt's, well, I don't know anything about Gaunt. He doesn't talk.
You also don't talk?
Motion at this other guy who like looks up. It's the very thin man that you noticed initially. Kind of like looks up and nods. opens his mouth and you can see his tongue has been removed.
Who did that?
He just kind of like looks down, like, probably a city guard, I don't know, but
See,
Gash is like, yeah, I mean, he doesn't talk, hardly eats, but he swings an axe, so we keep him around.
see, it seems like when punishments like this are imposed, you have reasons to lock people up to make them into bad guys.
Oh yeah, probably.
Because you need to work for it.
It feels that way.
Yeah.
But unfortunately,
That's a kid. That's
Yeah.
a little boy.
Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. It's be a Fellman or, burned in the square, so. Another nod, kind of more solemn nod, goes through the group.
Gonna
Why are those the
have
options?
a bit of an aside.
Why are those the options? Those shouldn't be the options.
15 years is a long time.
It would seem that we are coming back to a very changed Glomshore, one where we need to be extremely careful of rules and general attitudes. But, and I look at you, you have the position of being the daughter of the leader, it would seem.
Make a quick stealth check.
Yeah, did it look like anybody caught that?
Oh shit. It's a 16 total.
Yeah, this will just be a blanket. I'm gonna add just a +2 for the group. It's a natural 15
Damn.
for a 17. There's an audible gasp that runs through the group as Oryx Severe says this. I go. A lot of them get back down on a knee.
No.
Make a perception check with disadvantage.
Everyone?
All of us?
Just Oryx Severe, actually just Saoirse.
And I add nothing. So 14.
14 is enough. You see a lot of the people like drop back down on their knees in deference. One particular person, he's got sort of almost powder blue skin with very like long curled bubblegum pink hair that drifts back and two horns protruding from his forehead is giving you this sort of like head down look of immense anger.
Yeah.
And you see as he's slowly pulling something from his side.
Nope. Nope. We don't gotta do that.
He pulls out a knife
No.
and he's going to jump at
Nope.
you.
Can I try and just.
Can we all react to that? Or?
Let's all roll
Many.
initiative
Yeah.
next time.